šampion, u ovoj priči ne idem nigdje, načinio sam štetu, ja sam samo još jedan klinac u getu.
Pravda za Dalina!
Pravda!
Demokratski, fair izbori.
In the heart of Banja Luka, Bosnia, behind the camera, this is Josh Friedman, joined by a local journalist who is going to fill us in on some fascinating developments here. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Dejan Šajinović. I'm a journalist from Dali newspaper Nezavisne novine from Banja Luka.
We are standing outside what is a protest camp and has been the site of daily demonstrations over a murder case. Can you please explain what happened in this case?
So on the night of 17th of 18th March this year, a boy, 21 years old boy, David Dragicevic, disappeared. 6 days later, his body was found in sewage. And police claimed from the day one that it was just a suicide case. They claimed that he broke into the house and that he was drugged, that he was under the influence of LSD, and that's why he ended up in the river. So his friends and the parents of the boy refused to accept that story because they said that there is no way that he was drugged, that he was taking drugs, and they came to this place on the 26th of March for the first time. And each night at 6 o'clock p.m. they come here to the square, and it's now 195th time. It was tonight, and each night they claim that David Dragicevic did not commit suicide, that he was murdered. And the story, as they were gathering here, more and more evidence was coming in that the case was really about murder, because the police and the judiciary about 100 days later admitted that it was wrong to claim that it was suicide. They say that it was a murder, and they opened an investigation in murder. In the meantime, lots of things happened, so some evidence was lost from the case. Some video recording from city cameras were lost. And you could see that there is something in this story, that this is not just a plain, that even it's not plain murder case. There was some kind of involvement, maybe of even a high state institution, that there's some kind of cover-up, that there's some kind of conspiracy going on. So after 195 days, they're still seeking the truth, they're still gathering here, they still don't have all the facts, but as time goes on, more and more it turns out that the story that they told from the beginning it seems to be right. It seems that the father and the family and the friends were right, and it seems the story is at least going in that direction, that that we really might soon discover the full truth about this case. In the
Who was David Dragicevic?
David Dragicevic was a student he was studying in IT technology, so he was an expert in IT, and he was a student. He was a singer. He was an artist. He was well known in the city among the friends who were writing rap songs, and the song that you hear each night, it's his song that he wrote here which is being played every night as they're gathered. So he was a very, very interesting person in many different ways.
Were you here last night?
Yes.
And according to your estimate or reports that you trust, how many people showed up?
So each night there's this gathering each night, as I told you. It's a daily gathering, but they also had 3 big rallies. And the third rally happened last night, and this whole place, which is pretty large, was filled with people. So all around there were people, all across the street were people, all the way up to the edge of the park were people, and back there up to the post office. So it's a really, really huge place. And there's according to some estimations, there's about 40,000 people present.
So happens that tomorrow is election day
Yes.
in Bosnia, and the demonstrators seem to be mounting opposition to Milorad Dodik
Yeah.
and the current political establishment here. Do you think that this movement could swing the election tomorrow?
Well, it's really possible because since we don't have answers, so institutions did not give answer what happened to David. And we also, as I told you, see more and more evidence coming that all things that police and institutions which was saying were not true, that opposite things came out to be true. So people take blame, they blame Dodik, they blame the government for missing to uncover the case, and even they blame the government that it's directly involved in some ways in this case. So since most of the people believe that, and most of the people who were here last night believe that, so that's a big pressure on the current government. And since, as you say, tomorrow our election, it's not impossible, actually it's really possible that this rally and this case could swing people to vote against the current government.
Some of the demonstrators were alleging that yesterday Republika Srpska police were blocking other possibly thousands of demonstrators from coming to the rally. Is there any truth to that?
Yes, there's absolute truth to that. We could see the police vehicles all across the city, all around the city, in other major places and other major crossroads, and so they were trying to prevent people to enter the city, which were coming through with buses, with all other means of transportation. So a lot of people were not able to make it to the city last night.
Interestingly, simultaneously, there's a similar case going on in Sarajevo. Can you explain that briefly?
Well, that's probably one of the reasons why people were stood up for this case, because these things were happening before. It's not only this other place in Sarajevo. There are other cases like that all over Bosnia and Herzegovina, where rich and powerful people who are connected with politics or business think that they're above law, and that they can murder people, they can threaten people, they can beat people without being punished. And that's what was going on up to now. There are a lot of cases where people suspect that people were murdered or beaten, or because of their whatever, because the government disagreed with them, or there's some kind of business interest that was being threatened or something like that. So that case in Sarajevo and this one here in Banja Luka are tip of the iceberg of all these other places.
The Sarajevo case was also a murder case, and
it was a murder case where there's a business person who apparently caused the traffic accidents where this other guy was killed. And this other guy, since he was rich, he was able to arrange that it was a traffic accident where some people who were very poor were paid to claim that they actually drove the car which killed this boy. And we now know it's true because there was a case in court which says that these people that were alleged to have driven the car were not involved. The evidence was that they were just planted there to pose as people who were driving that car. So that you don't have to go into details of these cases. You can see a pattern. The pattern is where rich and powerful people can commit suicide, they can commit injustice and get away with that, with their money, with their political connections. And now people are trying to stop that with these gatherings.
Despite the Sarajevo case being in the Federation, correct? It's in the Federation.
Yes.
Right?
It's Bosniak majority place, Muslim majority.
Okay, so a Muslim majority location for the Sarajevo case, and this is obviously here in Republika Srpska.
Where Serbs.
Yet, from what I've gathered, both the demonstrators here and the demonstrators there are supporting one another.
Yes, not only that, they came. So the family Memic, for this other guy from Sarajevo, this Muslim family, they were coming here several times supporting Davor and his family. With this case, and Davor is the father of David, went to Sarajevo to help them. So people all across the country are follow these both cases and other cases, and you can see like Facebook group has more than 300,000 members. You can see that there are people all ethnic groups, and they all support. They want to find out the truth, and they're supporting the families, both families.
So the question that's arising in my mind, but I guess others as well, is that now, are we seeing Bosnians uniting across ethnic lines in opposition to corruption and government abuse?
So it's obvious if powerful people can get away with crimes, people started to realize that all these things that they were said about from the politicians that it's the other ethnic groups which are to blame. People start to realize that they all have the same problem. They all have same corrupt politicians. They all lack the same rule of law and protections and security for their families. So they started to realize that their real enemies are these politicians and not other people from other religion or ethnicity. So they are starting more and more to come together, and you can see more and more of that. And if you go to the Facebook group of Justice for David, you will see people from all ethnic groups supporting this case to be solved. So people realize that the real enemies are politicians, not different ethnic groups.
If that is indeed the case, it sounds like a huge development with major political implications here in Bosnia.
It could have. It remains to be seen, but this is a movement. This is already starting to be a movement. And if you saw last night, the father of David said here in the public square that he will start an NGO and foundation which will in the future keep fighting for justice and keep fighting for not only to resolve the case but also to change the laws, to change the rules, and to make a country a rule of law where people will be safe.
Does he have political ambitions?
No, he doesn't have political ambitions, although his family said yesterday, they were joking that he could be running for president. But he said, I'm not interested in politics, I just want to solve the case and I want to help things change in this country.
It seemed like he could get elected. It seemed like a pretty powerful
Well, there's a time.
speaker.
There's time for that. Yes, he's relatively young. He's not even 50 yet, so he still have time to run.
Do you have any last words about the Justice for David case or anything else in Bosnia?
I'm a journalist, and I came here for on the fourth or fifth day of the protest, and I started to report as a journalist. But then I realized that I want to be more involved, so I stopped reporting because that would conflict my work, and I started to help them to come here as a citizen, because this is an important case. This could really be a turning point for this country, and that's why this case is not only about justice for David. This case is also about justice for whole country and uniting whole people in this goal.
Okay, very interesting developments here in Bosnia. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vide, Davide! Idemo do kraja, Davide!
Idemo!